Welcome to the Trad Life podcast with your host, Tradwife. Today's subject is going to be the perfect mate. The idea of the perfect mate. We all have our fantasies of that perfect man or woman. These ideas come from our programming in childhood and throughout our lives from society and our peers. The music we listen to, movies we watch, and books we read all influence our fantasy of the perfect life partner. We have all been guided to believe that when we meet that perfect someone, everything will just fall into place. We are shown in movies and on TV that relationships are effortless and that if your partner isn't perfect, they are disposable and another one is right around the corner. Dating has been whittled down to a commodity that is at the tip of our fingers, for free or a small fee. Forget about courting these days. You can just flip through the latest dating app, meet up with someone, have sex, block them, then start from scratch the next day or even the same day. How are we supposed to have valuable relationships if meeting someone new is so easy and getting rid of them even easier? Why would we want to put ourselves in a position of being devalued as soon as we are no longer fulfilling another's selfish needs? How do we even meet people in real life anymore? And if we must meet people online, how do we do that without sacrificing our self-worth? We could even go as far as to ask the question, why do we want relationships in the first place? What is the point of it all? I believe to answer these questions, we must look at our innate nature. For us to survive, we must reproduce ourselves. If a man and a woman do not come together and create a child, then their specific genes will cease to exist after they die. If they do not create two children, then they fail to replace both parents and the population declines. It only takes one generation for this horror show to begin. This is why we are so emotionally attached to finding a mate. I would argue that all our strong emotions are based on survival. If we did not have this chemical and spiritual cocktail of feelings, we would likely sit around and do nothing when the thought of our species ceasing to exist crossed our mind. The funny part about all of this is that it is totally an unconscious drive. This unconscious drive is attached to so many programs we received as far back as in the womb. It is our innate nature to survive, reproduce, and thrive as an entire species. This is why when we experience a breakup, it feels like the end of the world. No wonder we aren't reproducing. With every failed relationship, there is a new trauma to heal, making relationships more and more complicated. Hang on a second. We are taught how to do math, how to read, how to write, how to drive, but we are never taught how to have healthy, sustainable relationships. Why is it that the most fundamental part of our nature and purpose is never discussed in schools and rarely in the home? Food for thought, anyway. Did you know that the birth rate in Canada is currently 1.4 children per woman? Does that seem like a problem to you? It certainly does to me, and we are seeing every facet of our reality affected by it. I would argue that this is the single most devastating situation facing us right now. If we aren't having children, then what are we fighting for? If we don't start having babies and fast, we might as well forget about trying to preserve our culture and traditions. There will be no one to carry them on. Friends, if we are going to thrive once again as a species, we must learn how to have sustainable, meaningful relationships. It starts with each individual man and woman taking responsibility for all their flawed programming and misconceptions about what a relationship should look like and what the purpose of a relationship truly is. I invite you to come along on this journey with me as we take a good look at our own behavior for the purpose of a brighter, prosperous future. Our species is depending on us to do the hard work that needs to be done. We may be the only hope for the children of tomorrow. Brothers and sisters, our duty starts now.